It's a brand new day, and we'll be making history. Are you with me? Won't you stay? We have come so far. This is who we are. And like the rising sun, we have just begun to play our part. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show our colors. We are heroes and...
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail of Gaia, and this is Free Range Radio, which is a new show on a new network, and I hope you enjoy it. And today I have two wonderful guests, and one is here and one is probably on his way. So let me bring on Jenny Lee, the seer. Hey. And hopefully Ismael will show up as well. And how are you doing, Jenny? Welcome.
Good. Everything's good. I can tell you that everybody's been very tired with this energy.
Oh, I know.
No one is getting anything done. They're like in their houses. They're like, I can't do it. I'm too tired.
This don't feel, yeah, the total lack of motivation.
Right.
Just feeling exhausted. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely happening.
And they put a plan into roll that morning to get certain things done. And they're like, I can't get off my couch. It's, everybody's exhausted. And are we going into a transformation of a stasis is what I'm wondering, because I think where spiritual bodies is being upgraded in a crystal line process.
That makes sense. And doesn't it, you would think that the body would get a little tired because of all the changes that are going on. Not only are we seeing all kinds of crazy things going on, but inside we actually have changes taking place. Don't you think so?
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about, that crystal line. And I've been having people talk about this shaking and this freezing that's not on the outside of the skin, it's inside. And they're like, and it's hot weather outside, but they are completely shaking. I mean, there's several of us that have talked about this cold feeling inside. And I know that has to do with the crystal line that we're going through, this upgrade, and our body, our physical body has nothing to do with it. It's the inside of our soul, our frequency, our energy, all of that stuff. And people are reacting to it. And it's not the only thing we have on the physical side is soreness, and it just feels like it's building up and putting pressure on your shoulder. But yeah, there's a lot of people dealing with that. I think you mentioned it too last week too.
Yes. There are different pains every now and then too that were never there before, like leg pains and I don't know, weird things. But I thought I remembered reading one time in your book where you said something about, energy healing, as an example, is not necessarily about the physical body. It's more about the spirit and soul. Could you explain that a little more? How's that?
Because the physical, you got to look at dividing the two vessels, because like I said, we're not taking that physical vessel with us as we go to the crystal line. So imagine a frequency upgrade. It's not blood, bone, and water. We're upgrading. Okay, we're upgrading a crystalline of frequency. Okay, That's why when you see aliens or anything like that, they don't have a physical vessel to a flesh and bone the way we do. You know what I'm saying? We're going to discard that. We have no use for it at all. I mean. And that's the thing. Is,
what will we look like?
Well, we don't have to worry about our weight no more.
Well, that'll be a pleasant change.
This what's changing already is a lot of people are not eating. They're not eating. They're already changing. They're crystal process, their line is discarding the food anyway. They're not interested in it. They're not interested
That's
in
what's, oh my goodness, that's happening to me, something awful. Like I only want something to drink mostly. Once in a
Right.
while, a little. When I do take something solid, it's only I have a couple bites and I don't want anymore. It's weird.
Yes.
It's different.
We are not satisfied by the 3D processing anymore. We are discarding it and going, no, not going to work. And so the thing is remember I talked about, how we're supposed to hold the line, and now people are realizing we're literally standing in the line, feeling everything now. You can't run from it anymore. You're feeling these transitions that we're going through the crystal line, through our soul. And I talked about how there's like 20 particles of us that are reflecting through us, and our energy on Earth is changing. That light that's coming down, it is pulling us in a different way than we didn't pay attention before. Now we're paying attention to everything that's affecting us.
Don't we have the Christ light within though? Is that light expanding?
I believe it's expanding, but that has to do with that crystal line. I don't see the crystal line the same way everybody else sees it. Because I did the drawings and show how bright that is and how the colors of it is and how extensive it can be. But that has everything in it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, it's going to hurt and physically traumatize us when we are going through this upgrade. That's the thing. And like I was talking to a couple last night, and it feels like the head is doing this. You know what I'm saying? It just feels like we're in a complete circle motion too. Sometimes you don't feel like your brain is on the way it was before. It's feels like it's tilting. Your balance is different. You know what I mean? So it's changing, and so we don't like this. We don't feel comfortable doing it, but we're going through it. This is the thing that's changing. When we look at, I can't watch TV. I don't know how much you're watching TV.
I don't even have a TV.
Right.
So I'm not watching TV, yeah.
So, and then on the internet, it's starting to form the same way. It's leaving a bad taste in your mouth. You don't want to watch certain things. You're like, I'm done. I can't.
That's so true. Yes.
There's you can't do it no more. But it's a vibration of a person's tone and frequency that's affecting you. It's affecting you, and you're not trying to entertain it no more. You're like, this is uncomfortable. I can't be in this energy. I need to back off.
That's what it is. And then you feel good if you go out in nature. It makes it even more harder to go back to.
Well, I think at night it feels like it's a lot better than the day. The day has been a hard process to get through the sunlight on some areas. But it seems that at night it doesn't seem as bad.
What about the changes in the weather that are going on? Are they being manipulated, or is that the planet itself actually going through changes because of the frequency changes?
I believe it's the planet itself. I believe because I felt we're tilting. I don't think we're on the same balance of this earth. I feel, and you can see it because the ground is being erupted everywhere. Underneath what we're not seeing, the oceans what we're not seeing, nothing in one place of this earth that you could go, oh, it's completely normal. It's not. It's affected everywhere now. And now people are feeling the impact. They can't ignore it anymore. And so this is the thing, like the weather here has been, I was driving around, and how dry it is. It's not normally dry here. And I feel like, are we Did we flip seasons? Are we in a different season? This is not acting like we're going into winter at all. And so we're used to those seasons. Are we going to see something different this year? You know?
Well, I guess we'll find out.
Really soon.
Well, I know that they were microwaving us pretty much too. And
well, I'll tell you what the Spirit was channeling the other day. They're talking about the loosh, you know, the negative, the negative worked off of. Yesterday morning, I actually saw it in the sky. And the thing is, the negative worked off of that, used it, you know, and now we don't have as many negative beings here. And now, so what's going to happen to that loosh? It's going to go up, right? So, and then, because you get that off of fear, negative people, it's definitely in a fear process. So they showed me, you're going to see more of that dark, dark energy going up, and you're not going to know what it is, you know, and people have seen it. And that's what how they traumatized us. They wanted to use that. And they're telling me you're going to see more and more of it rise above. And I talked about how when the light comes in, that darkness, that particle is going to disappear. So that loosh energy they're showing me, that it's not being fed the same way. You know what I'm saying? They took whatever they could from the negative to put fear into the kids and do whatever. Do you understand? So that gets you to react. What's it do? It accumulates a negative energy, that loose energy. So which I feel, I don't feel the negative the way I did 3 years ago. The control of it, this is the thing that's changed, and you can ask a lot of people about that. The highly suggested thoughts that you would get, and you say, no, you push it away. Or that's not there the same way either. So things are changing.
wow. Well, I was wondering if Ismael was going to show up. I sure hope that he does. I haven't, it kind of throws things off a little bit, but
Yeah.
he was talking about a megaverse. Do you know what he's referring to about that?
No, but there's a subject that he brought up about Elon Musk that I don't agree with. Because I said that I don't believe that, first of all, we know that that's not the same Elon Musk.
Right. His Elon Musk 2.0.
I don't, they told me that a lot of these vessels that they have here, spiritual vessels have moved into them and used them as podiums of light. So when I heard what he was saying, it didn't reside with me because it said, no, that's just a vessel, a mask, but a spiritual being is using that. And if you want to confuse the enemy, you mix information. You know, you don't stay steady on one thing and you move consistently in two different directions like this. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah,
So, because then your enemy doesn't know where you're really coming from, because there's days that people think, well, he's with the left and he's with the right. You know what I'm saying? But that's a very master chess piece of game to play in advance and staying 4 steps ahead. So Spirit always told me there's certain vessels on this plane that they're using, and of course they're going to use him as one. So I believe it's a spiritual, strong being that is ahead of the game. I believe the old one has been gone for a while. I do not believe that this one is negative.
I guess I stand corrected. Somebody said it's metaverse, not megaverse. I didn't hear him right. Not that matters that much, but anyway, that's That's very interesting. The energies are definitely affecting people, and things are going in a variety of different directions. It seems like anything, if it breaks universal law in any way, it collapses or it goes
Right.
dead. It's like the nefarious things they try just aren't working.
No. And that's the thing. There's not an energy behind it anymore. The only thing that's feeding it now is people are focused on thinking that things are still alive and functioning in that way, and they're not. That's like the whole situation that's supposed to happen in November, and I'm like, no, that's not happening. And it's just when you manifest and you put things in a direction, you are going to create it. So instantly when I see something, I turn it off. I don't sit there and let it take power, because that's an old way. It's not the same way it is now. This is the thing a long time ago that they said to me. They're like, the heroes from the past, the beings from the past are here in the present day in time. And so, yes, and you know, and that to me is amazing. A lot of them.
That's what I've, come to that conclusion as well. A lot of very high vibrational beings are here to help raise the vibration of the planet. And I'm actually experiencing more and more people being awake. I was out of town and I talked to a couple of people, and I was kind of happily amazed that people are really starting to see more. Not everybody, but more than before, that's for sure.
And they are seeing more because they're alert, they're conversating about it, they're talking about it, they're, I wouldn't say triggered, but they're paying attention to their body and their spiritual being in a different way than they did before. But you go anywhere publicly, they can see the ones that are awake, the normal people, and they're trying to puzzle and paste that 3D and keep it going, and we know it's not working, and they're not admitting that it's not working anymore. They're not getting the satisfaction at all from it, so this is the thing. Everything that we think we're satisfied by is completely going to change, and that's why food has changed for us.
Well, they've destroyed our food and water and air in so many ways. It's not even all that healthy to be eating, so we may be better off eating much less of it anyway.
Right, and that's why they were worried about storing all this food. I'm like, we're not even desiring it anyway, so why just need the necessities? If we can go back to the 1950s and eat like that again, we'll be fine. We'll be in better health. So, and
I think they were just trying to cover the 10 days of darkness when, that you would just have enough to cover 2 weeks. I think that's all that, that's really not that much, depending on the size of your family, of course. But
you're not seeing people go to the store, buy the quantities of food anymore. There was a different, not even a starvation, but a different, I got to have this, I got to eat this, this, and now that's changing. The appeasing of it is changing. The only thing that I haven't seen change a lot is the fast food desire. I can't even touch that stuff.
I haven't touched any of that for a long time. I'm afraid to eat it anyway. Because a lot of the fast food places, they found human DNA in it, and I don't want any part of that.
Yeah.
That's pretty disgusting.
So the whole process is, if we step back and look at everything and we realize that we're not functioning in the same way, we're not seeing things in the same way, we're not feeling things the same way, And that's what I've always said, get behind a plated glass, look at it from a different view. So you are already ascending, you are already deciding that you're not part of the 3D anymore. And that's the whole thing. I think the last part of it is this whole making you think to yourself that what you're seeing on a TV is real anymore. That's the last part of disengaging it, the power of it, completely, and severing it across.
Local food. Okay, Sonia is saying shipping might change dramatically. Like Jenny said, we need to go back to the 50s. It was all local food then. Yeah, there's a lot of people saying, Trump has said we go back to 50 prices. What a difference that'll make for us all. But I believe that the quantum financial system is rolling.
Yes, I think it's been rolling for a while,
Yeah.
Now they're not hiding it, and they're putting it in your face and showing you that, and that's why I said there's no way, because there was nothing left to keep it up. There's nothing supporting it, because it would be paper, would be just paper, I know, and I could sense that we're gold backed finally,
That's refreshing. Someone is saying here that and a friend told me this just recently, that most of the processed food is owned by the tobacco companies. They bought up all the food companies. And I mean, it's one of those follow the money, trails. And interestingly enough, it was the tobacco companies that put addictive substances in the tobacco and papers, so people would become addicted to it. And then when they bought the processed food companies, I happen to know, because I worked as a nutritionist. I had a friend who had a husband that was a food scientist, and they were trying to add addictive substances to processed foods as well. Thank goodness all that will be going away.
Yeah, the thing I was thinking about, and I saw it where they're talking about like a certain coffee brand is not going to be taking cash anymore. And I think that is part of another program that they're putting out there, so we won't use those corporations no more. We won't go to them, because you try to control us and tell us what we could spend and how our cash flow is existence or not. It's going to shut that corporation down, and you've already seen that in the past with certain things. So yeah. I think when you see more of that, then people are going to back up, and then they're going to completely shut down. That's what I think is happening. So you want to pay attention to any corporation that says we're not using cash anymore. I think that's deliberate to shut those corporations down finally. Wow. Because no one's going to abide by that.
Fantastic. Well, we're going to take a quick break here shortly, and right at around 25 minutes. So we will be back shortly after this. I'm probably shutting it down a little bit too soon. I haven't done this before, so I'm not used to having a producer either. It's just wonderful. I really like it. And somebody commented that the audio was so much better, and I'm glad of that as well. And that's when you don't have to do it all yourself. So,
Gail, I'm just going to pop in here.
Oh, good.
You
okay.
are doing a fantastic job. Everybody in the chat is fantastic. Jenny, you are off the chain. Awesome. And look, you go into the commercial break right around 25, give or take a minute or two, that's fine. So we're ready to go when you are, Sugar.
Okay, go for it.
The UNX Network presents a health and wellness spiritually based brand of hemp-derived CBD products made by Hopewell Farm in Harrogate, Tennessee. We apply our Kathara energy work with all of our plants and products. Our products made in small batches with only 2 ingredients of pure hemp full spectrum crude oil and coconut derived MCT oil. Third-party lab tested for potency and legal THC levels with 6 strengths of 1 ounce oil to choose from. Know what you're buying and get what you pay for from Hopewell Farm. Applied directly to a specific area, Hopewell Farm topical salve in 1 ounce and ½ ounce sizes, made with pure hemp crude oil, comfrey extract, and all natural ingredients. Find the Hopewell Farm link and coupon code on the Unnext Network website at unnextnetwork.com. That's unnextnetwork.com.
This is Margie Kay, and I'd like to say thank you to all of our KUNX show hosts, staff, listeners, and viewers for making us #1 on Paranormal Talk Radio.
While most near-death experiencers return to this plane of existence with alluring tales of their time spent in the presence of the divine, what happens when one crosses the veil into the afterlife, into the void? In the new book, Dying to Meet Them, Mindy Toutfest describes her journey to the afterlife after a devastating aneurysm, how a strange turn of events would lead her to spiritual growth, divine healing, UFO experiences, and a greater understanding of the universe. Get your copy of Dying to Meet Them today at Amazon.com or visit unxmedia.com for more information on this book and more amazing selections from Unx Media Publishing at unxmedia.com.
Well, we're back. Hi, everyone. So happy to have you back here on this nice new network. And I will have Jenny up here. There she is. I'm going, where'd you go? Okay. Hey, I wanted to ask you, have you ever heard of the concept J-rods?
No, I have not.
Okay. Well, you'll know what I'm talking about when I tell you what it is. It's just a term that they use with they're saying that we are actually beings from our future that were here trying to warn ourselves, if that makes any sense. I'm not real clear on the concept, but
so that would be the particle. Like I believe there's a reflection of 20 of us, and we're dealing with going through 20 things at one time. So that is concept of going to back to where we are in the present day and reflecting to the presence of the future. So that could possibly be because this
like our higher self is our future self. Is that
right? Exactly. And they always showed me there's like 20 reflections, and that's why we find it familiar of knowing something and we don't understand. We want to put the concept that it's in today, what's going on right now. And it's a memory that we're having and a reflection of the higher self in the future. And this explains it when you go to places or you understand something, you're like, how do I know all this information? But we don't want to we want to put ourselves as one being. And if you start to move outside of that concept and seeing yourself like 20 reflections, going through the process and pulling in different capabilities, different information at the same time, you're going to be okay with that. When we try to force that 3D, just that one being, that one process, then it screws up all our spiritual information. So yeah, it would make sense on a lot of levels of that. I mean, that stuff is slowly being revealed and slowly being talked about. But yes, because they showed me, and with my group on Signal and Telegram, I've talked about it. It's called the diamond, and the diamond is connected to our higher self as that reflection of that particle moving out and moving in a direction, and then having the memory. You know.
I would just like to thank everyone who's noticing the difference on the volume and the clarity of the audio on this new platform with Unix, and I thank Race for that, and Margie, of course. So I'm glad that you're hearing the audio better and so on. So thank you for that. And
another veil that's changing, though, is like when I do mediumship, like it seemed like it was always kind of like more of a higher tunnel than pulling the stuff down, and now it seems like it's just fast. It's right there. So
yeah, what is this acceleration all about? I mean, it's whoa. You know, it's like I can't even keep track of what day it is.
Right. It's just we're losing time, and people that are going to doctor's appointments and all that stuff, they're like, I'm just like, that concept of that is losing its effect, and how we were so structured on that, and it just feels like we're like, no. So you have that younger generation that you're noticing they're not adapting to what we were programmed to do. Like I'll bring it up, the whole marriage thing, that's changing, and
I can't imagine why, Jenny, but
I don't know. But the whole thing with that is that it's a program that's been presented in front of us at a very young age, that this is something we are supposed to do. Okay. It's completely different from a soul partner.
Yes.
I do not believe that the program that's installed right now has control of who we decide our soul needs to be with. Okay. It's none of their business. It's never been part of their business, but it made a profit. That's the problem.
That's the problem with everything. Everything's about profit.
Right. But the marriage and divorce and the whole proceeding and the mortgage and medical, and it's a tied down effect. And I'm like, so what I believe in the future they need to do is they need to null and void those contracts, because that was not given by Creator. That was given by man's rules. Man's have nothing to do with it.
Exactly.
Neither does the church. It's not their. So I think this is what I've talked to you about. You're going to see a great divide when that is given permission to divide that. But because you're going to see it financially divide,
right?
They're going to make a choice. Well, the real intentions why they're there. And then the concept of being with that partner, why are you really with them? But then, so I say it, he say, she say, okay, good, we're done. And I mean in the way that I don't hear spiritually on any marriage or any being with a partner for eternity. How are you supposed to learn those lessons if you have the same experience over and over and over and over? Okay. So I'm saying that, and I've talked to several people about this. It's just the fact that how are you supposed to go through experiences if you're with the same partner that has that same limited veil of understanding? We are spiritual beings supposed to change and develop through our lifetime. And then we're with one that's at the same level of concept that is wanting to learn and to change at the same time. You go through a different development. So there's a lot of things that are changing, that are going to change.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that Ismael hasn't showed up. I don't know why that has happened, but anyway, it's just kind of thrown the plans off a little bit. But I was wondering about this timeline split. How do you see that happening? Because
the timeline split has to do with reality. The 3D people have just and I did a picture of it on Instagram. The golden light, the golden key, the golden path is in the 5D. Okay. Then you have the red eyes, that has the hat down, the mask, and they're following that program. It is already dividing.
Yeah.
We're already in it.
Right. If you're after materialistic things, if you're after that type of thing, that's spiraling downward. Whereas if you're after spiritual things, that's spiraling upwards.
Right.
Would you agree?
Yes.
And that's what we want to do. We want to spiral upwards, which is raising our vibration. The planet is raising its vibration, and we need to go with it.
Right. And that's the thing, is you can't put 3D into a 5D because they can't even see it. And now we, 5D, can see other things going on and develop in it and see how the 3D is walking, how it's not going anywhere, that they're going to repeat time again. But we are in a concept of looking to the golden ages, to the future, to futuristic products, all of that to change. And we're not in fear to accept it. We're not in a fear process of the unknown. We're like opening the door. It's just like I said, if you saw a ship in the sky, most of 5D people would be welcome to it. They'll be like, yeah, anything is better than what we got now.
Really?
Right.
So are you familiar with Project Odin?
Mm-mm.
No? Okay.
No.
Do you know about the satellites being taken down, or the
Yes.
Okay, the mass media being taken down is what I'm getting at.
Right.
That's part of what
Right.
Project Odin relates to, as I understand it anyway. So do you see that happening anytime soon, or?
I thought there was already some satellites that went down already, and that's the whole thing with the cell phone. Some of these other corporations, they figured out who's in charge. Because I said, who has the internet is actually in charge of everything. Because they can put you back to the dark ages, disconnect your whole corporation, disconnect everything. And that's where I talked about the negative. They already know exactly where they're at, their corporation, their money, everything. You know what I'm saying? Completely across the board. So I already believe that that's already happened, because locally people have been having these rolling outages that I've been talking about for a couple of years.
That's true.
I talked about those for a couple of years, that you would have these rolling outages, and where you're going to hit resistance, you're going to see it down longer, and then where you're not going to get the resistance, you're not going to see any problem. So I already feel that we're in it, to a certain concept. Do I think there's a cover-up? Yes, I do a little bit, but I do not feel the negative has any control of anything right now.
Right. So we're not on a trajectory of destruction as they would like us to be.
Right.
Like what happened with Atlantis and Lemuria and so on.
Right.
We're not headed in that direction, thank goodness.
No.
And they keep saying nothing can stop what is coming. And I believe when they're saying that they're talking about the collapse of the old guard and the implementation of the new system. Is that how you see that too?
Yeah, it is an old guard, but we're going into a spiritual council. We're going into a council. That's why this whole thing that the concept of what could happen in November, I'm like, who would feed this right now? Who would believe this right now? Who would think that would be legit? Because I'm going to tell you, you're not going to see people going down that path and believing that, because they know that system is not existing. You want to see if it's existing? Why is Washington a ghost town?
Yes. And why are different buildings all boarded up that are supposed to still be
Right.
operational?
So you're voting for what?
Yeah,
For,
that's it. You got to vote harder to change things. No, but seriously, what would we actually be voting for if you think about it? If the United States Incorporated is collapsing because of the corporate nature, and most people aren't really aware. I mean, some people are, but a lot of people aren't aware of the constitutional republic. And so what are we, who are we voting for, and why are we voting is my question.
all they got to do is stop. all they got to do is not make this an existence, not make this a concept, that it's a choice. That's what they want, you know, because they're, and it's just because it's presented and they're like, oh, we must have to do this because this is what we did before. No, we don't. We do not at all. You have the power. You have the power to take all that back and say, no more. That's the whole thing about this, is no more. And that's why when we talked about the chevron, and if you want to know when it changed, go look at the chevron. It's not real anymore. It's not real. It was just a big con job back then. And then it's almost like they're just trying to give it life. I want to talk about something that Spirit told me. Now, the loosh. So when you're moving negative energy up to the surface and it has nowhere to go, and then it doesn't have the food that it needs, and then you're seeing these people, which I don't know yet, they're talking about all these immigrants eating cats and dogs, and I'm like, now, for demonic stuff, that would be normal when they run out of food, and then it's easier to get into a physical vessel that is already demonic. Do you understand? So these energies that I think are surfacing because they don't have anywhere to go, what's ever left, and that's why we're getting that loosh. It's terminating the existence. But I was like, I asked Spirit about this animal thing they're trying to put, and I think it's a cover-up for the negative. And you can see them walking in these other negative vessels, physical vessels, because there's no soul there. And they can use those, and then they do stuff they wouldn't normally do, and then they're checked out. Okay? So I'm just telling you, you're seeing a little bit of a surface happening, and that's why I want people to pay attention to the sky, pay attention to the darkness, pay attention to that dark matter energy. And I've told people that they're going to go into this zombie process. I talked about this.
Is that what's happening?
Yes.
That whole Springfield thing that they're talking about is a zombie apocalypse type thing.
Right. So it's the negative. And so I would be looking in that Springfield area. I'd be like, what is going on underground? What are they surfacing up? Why is it running? Why is it scattering? So they don't like light. They can't be in light vessels. They can't be around the light. They can't exist in the light. So just like a possession, they would take advantage of the vulnerable that's already submitted to the negative, and then take over that vessel and have them do very possessive things. So I'm just telling you, this whole thing is not these immigrants. What it is what's surfacing. I would want to have people do looking at things that's going on in that area and deep down in the ground, and what forces are there, what's happening at night. Because go ahead.
It's interesting what you're saying about what's down in the ground, because I was just listening to someone else that was talking about that, all the different kinds of people that have been buried okay, and the energy that got buried with them, or the boosh, or the negativity, or whatever, it's all coming up to the surface, just like you're saying. So that just, you're just verifying this.
And see, and the spirit presented this, I didn't know. They're like, let's talk about this, and then let's see why it's happening. And they're just using this as another cover up with the situation when it's actually, and it's hard for people to understand, because I've been working in the field with mediumship and sitting in front of us. I don't go chase spirits down. They already know my intentions and what I do. So I have a conversation that goes back and forth. And I've run across the negative on things, and in situations, and this is the thing, there's one area in every part of the world has to come up. Where is it going to surface? And then what's the response you're going to see from it surfacing? You know, animals. So that tells you they're not surviving. Whatever was being fed below is not there to feed off of no more. And then we're seeing, like I said, everything's going to surface in the sky. So you're dealing with that too. So I'm just telling you, this is a thing about the media. It gets your head thinking the wrong way, and you need to always look outside the box on this. If something's going on in an area, look to the ground to find out what's going on. Another thing too, with this energy that you're feeling, this is why, you had your inner earth beings and how everything went into the ground, because they knew the negative was around. Right now, there's so many of us in my group and everything, they'd rather be in the inner earth and hiding underneath there than being on the surface and seeing all this stuff and dealing with this energy right now. I'm just telling you, I would too. If I could find a cave that's dark and cool and away from all this, we would do it.
Okay. Well, why don't you give us some information about how people can get a hold of you and the different classes that you have and that sort of thing, because we're going to be wrapping this up in a few more minutes.
Well, it is www.jennyssigh.
JennySight.com.
2 S's. www.jennyssigh.net. So the thing is the mediumship classes, or remote viewing classes, healing classes, and then the classes that teach to tap into your intuition. So, and I'm sure it'll be in the group somewhere on the live chat and everything too. So, and then, I just launched a new thing because this new energy, and Spirit says, let them understand what's actually around them. Pick up that loosh, pick up the negativity, let them know where it's hitting this in parts of their spiritual being, how it's affecting to them. And so I've been doing that type of reading lately because I do remote, and when I look at things, I can see how things are being affected by their energy and what's going on. So these new energies, people are not used to. So I'm looking at it in a clear view and identifying what it is and what they can do with it, just like I do when I see these other conditions with people. So I've been doing that. So yeah, www.jennyssigh.net.
What classes are you? Is it mediumship classes?
Mediumship, remote viewing.
Oh, those two. Okay.
3. Yeah. And so, but I do those, a lot of them I do one-on-one because everybody's at a different level. And the thing is, when you put them all together in one class, they're at different levels of understanding. And so I teach from that one-on-one basis and go into in that interpretation of information. And people are more personal when they feel like it's just me and them versus people don't like that. The spiritual process with them is very personal. It's a personal thing. So that's the thing that's important. And then from there, they feel more relaxed, and then they open up more. So yeah, medium readings, psychic readings, all that stuff. Yeah.
Somebody's saying that they feel unusually anxious Like they feel like they're about to explode. Do you feel the same, or is that normal?
And then there's this energy, this warmness that comes around the head that people are like, all of a sudden it feels like a hot flash, and it's not. It's just this warmness that comes in, and then it exits out just as fast. So, and that's where I talk about the chills too. I mean, we're going through many different concepts right now that we're not used to, and we're trying to relay it in a 3D understanding, and you can't. You're just going to confuse yourself even more. You can't take this to the clinics, because they're just going to, here, you want some meds?
Think you're crazy. Yeah. Make things worse. Yes. I think it's very important to keep your health and to keep as free from prescription drugs in particular, because they are not natural. They've tweaked them to make them unnatural in order to be able to patent them and distribute them accordingly. So,
and try to kill you.
Yeah, basically, that's what it boils down to, which is very hard for people to believe that people that are in healthcare would actually participate in such a thing. But look what happened during the, you know what. So you have to become your own best doctor and learn your energy and learn your physical body and look into natural substances that may be of some help.
Right. I mean, that's the only way to go now. That's the only way you're going to get through this process, and natural mechanisms that nature, the natives, have taught you to go through and listen to your intuition and telling you what you need to work on for yourself. I mean, I think I saw something with one of the corporations, and they said from the time that they have started, almost 200 years ago, that they have not cured one thing. Does that mean anything?
That's true. They only treat symptoms. They don't go to the core root of the problem. They just treat symptoms, and that's what the problem is. And all prescription drugs destroy enzyme systems within the body, and so that's very unhealthy for you. And because there's that oneness, that being part of nature, being part of the earth kind of thing, our body doesn't recognize those foreign substances.
And that's the thing, like when the resistance, when you first started coming out, and everybody's like, CBD, no, it's bad. And it's just like, because it worked instantly, you know, and that's why our generation X, I mean, we were in high school, and that was the one thing that everybody felt good taking, you know what I'm saying? So, and I call it the Jesus weed, because it's
I've never heard that one.
Yeah, I've always called it that. So the whole thing is, you know, they've always tried to push those aside. And I'm just, you know, for natural cure and cancer and all that stuff too. So I'm just saying that there's a lot of things that need to be changed, and how we can change it is literally stop feeding the idea of what they're trying to puke on us all over again and again and again and again, saying
same old thing all over again. And yeah, it's just not gonna fly anymore. And
no, not at all. And it's just like I said, normally like I can shoot off my website and I'm like, what is it again? And it's, like I said, our minds are getting into this fog of what is reality, what is the whole process anymore. I'm just saying, I'm putting in the
you almost feel like you're between dimensions sometimes. It's really weird.
It's like, what was the answer to that? Because where are we at? So that's the whole thing about it. It's just, we're just coming on to this process. It's not real anymore. So why do we keep making it real? Why? Because we've been told that it's real.
Yeah. We really have to start thinking for ourselves instead of the programs that we've been programmed with.
Exactly. So, yeah.
And so stay away from the TV, stay away from the mass media news, other than maybe just for the weather or something of that nature.
You know, if they would just test that for 24 hours to 3 days and notice the difference and the change and not feed into that reality, it's kind of hard to do that with driving, though, I can tell you that.
Right. Well, all right. I would like to say thank you to everyone that has been here and participated. And this is a new platform and a new show, and I'm very happy to be here. And I want to thank you, Jenny, for your input. And I'm sure we'll do this again sometime. And pretty much, I guess that's a wrap for today. Thank you,
Sounds good.
everyone.
Stay in the light.